Hi, my name's Yasmin and I'm the DM.
Hi, my name is Samantha. I play Elora Greyvale and she is a sorceress from the province of Nephalia.
Hi, I'm Ryan. I play Ogvar Shawfort, the goat-herding, mushroom-seeking ranger from Kessig.
Hi, I'm Rick, and I play Otto, a spring sage from Hanweir sworn to the land, wandering the plain and setting wrongs to right with his ursine companion, Bojo.
Last episode, rolls for initiative rattled around the room as battle was declared once again, leaving the party preparing for an airborne aggressor. As the small druidic blue ball of light hurtled back to the haven of his floating fortress, he received what could only be described as an energy enema, thus ringing a clear bell that the battle was indeed begun. As the sorcerer's screams were swallowed by the storm, Esther energetically made her way up the main mast before making a leap of faith in order to latch onto their winged assailant in a particularly parkour-style move. Otto's attempts at concealment ended abruptly as he changed into an octopus once more. Discovering the gravity of his situation, but notwithstanding, offered Esther an unexpectedly soft and squishy landing pad. Finally, with the avian adversary down and deceased, eventually Erik put in a blurry-eyed appearance, surveyed the scene, prompted Elora to fire some savage and scathing verbal shots, strongly suggesting that he stopped being bothersome and returned promptly to his bedroll. As the dark of night gave way to day, Elora and Esther moved themselves ashore via magical means, whilst the boys investigated their feathered fallen. As Paul proceeded to butcher the bird with a spot of skilled carcass carving, Otto and Ogvar discovered two glowing orbs that piqued their curiosity. Episode 161: Bangles, Balls and Burgers. Welcome folks! Today we have a couple of important announcements. If you haven't already noticed, we are rapidly approaching the truly magical time of year that is Christmas. Yay! We each personally absolutely love Christmas. If you don't, then boo-hoo, your loss. You can always audition for the part of our Grinch in next year's winter special. Now, down to business. First point of order: the Secrets of the Silver City release schedule. As always, over the festive season, we take a well-earned break. To this end, today's episode 161 will be the last episode of 2024. But fear not, dear friends. The date to mark on your new calendar that Santa has perhaps not yet delivered will be for the weekend of the 4th and 5th of January, when episode 162 will kick things off for 2025. Secondly, although we are taking a break, we have produced a multi-part seasonal adventure which will be out and streaming across the Christmas period as a treat for you all to enjoy. We had a huge blast recording this throughout late November and December and look forward to sharing it with you all. As this is still in the production phase, preliminary dates will see it release on several consecutive days from December the 24th. Keep an eye on our Facebook group in the coming days for dates to be fully confirmed. Finally, it should not go without being said that we do work hard to keep the lights on and the content coming at Podcast HQ. We are massively underfunded and every penny is so precious. If you feel that you can spare us a few coppers to support what we do, then please do donate your support via our Buy Me a Coffee page by searching www.buymeacoffee.com/Team Podcast. Or pick up the links on our episode bios to our Facebook page or our website, or just drop us a message or email and let us help you to help us from there. We would be hugely grateful, and of course, you can earn yourself a mahoosive New Year shout out from all of us on the crew. Now, without further ado, on with the last episode of 2024.
Okay, so I believe we left off. You've plucked the bird. You've got a couple of big bags of feathers ready to use for stuffing pillows or some other sleeping accoutrements. You have then decided to open this creature up. Opening up, you've gone through its stomach. You've discovered that its diet was mostly fish. There were some large creatures in there, a couple of large sharks, smaller whales. You know, this creature is obviously eating seafood predominantly. Otto, you attempted to wild shape into this thing's form, and very quickly realised that due to its size, that isn't something that you're capable of yet. Further down the line, once your powers have developed a bit more, then you are pretty certain that this creature, a magical beast that it is something that you could replicate. But as you've opened up its chest cavity, you've broken through the rib cage, through the sternum, you have encountered two glowing orbs within its chest area. You can see all the organs you would expect. You can see lungs, you can see a heart, but nestled amidst the viscera, you can see these two orbs. And they are fist-sized, probably about the size of an orange. One of them crackles with a yellow light, the other crackles with a white light.
Do they otherwise suspiciously resemble another orb that was found recently that turned into a bangle?
Make me a wisdom check, please.
Yeah, that's a 10 in total. So not so good, I'm thinking.
Okay, so that's about average for a human. So I'd say, although you are probably still quite distrustful of these orbs, you aren't entirely sure what they do or what their purpose is. This isn't something you've probably encountered before. You can tell just from the perception that, you know, this is inside the creature. The other orb was something which had been planted. This seems more natural. It's clearly crackling. You can see almost it moving inside. You're pretty sure that this is a different type of orb. You're pretty sure it would have different effects. But you still wouldn't trust it or know specifically what it is.
Well, I am going to work on the assumption that this is magical and therefore something that probably Elora should be looking at. To check that, I'm going to cast Detect Magic.
Okay.
These orbs to see if there is, just to confirm suspicions.
Yep, you cast Detect Magic. You focus for even a split second, and you can tell these two orbs are magical.
Yeah. Elora, can you hear me? Elora, do with you? Down here, I mean. Is she within shouting range, or do I have to go find her? Because I'm reluctant to pick these up, given what I saw what the last orb did.
You're not that far from the ship, and if she's on deck, then yes, she would be able to hear you.
Elora took Esther and was going somewhere.
You did, didn't you? You were going somewhere. So you would have gone wherever you're going. So you're probably out of earshot at this point. So that you would you would realise pretty quickly when you're shouting that she's actually gone somewhere. You've just kind of forgotten for a moment, and yeah, she's out of range. She's otherwise engaged.
What do you think, Ogvar?
Well, didn't exactly have a very good experience last time I touched it. Perhaps I wouldn't recommend touching it with your bare hands.
Well, what about with my human hands?
Or those as well, I suppose.
Okay. Maybe. Do you think maybe we could put them in a bag? Elora's got our special one, but a normal bag we can put them in. I'm kind of short on pockets still, as you might imagine.
Yes. Okay. Let's see maybe if there's like a basket or something on the ship, and we'll just go and pop it in there.
Well, if you go fetch it, I'll keep an eye on make sure no one else wanders up or these roll away or turn into anything.
Okay. Sounds reasonable. Off Ogvar goes back to the ship to find some sort of orb holding device.
Okay, yeah, you can go to the ship and you can find like a Hessian bag.
Sacks.
2 sacks. Yeah, you can find a sack to put them in. Yeah, you can do that pretty easily. And by the time you come back, nothing's changed with them. They continue to kind of just sit there, crackling occasionally. And it's not like this is very much like an electrical crackle. It'd be very easy to tell that's an electrical crackle.
Okay.
In the meantime, while you're stood there, Otto, Paul has starting to dice some of this bird up, taking some of the choicier cuts of meat, breast meat, thigh meat. He's just carving away quite skillfully at this this big bird. He's effectively getting chicken fillets out of it. And he's loading up his little picnic basket that he's brought with him with what looks to be some very tasty looking meat, actually.
Otto's still kind of distrustful of Paul. He's definitely not one of these sort of a natural phenomena, and he's still not certain he can trust him. So he's just going to sit there and just watch him and make sure he doesn't start trying to touch these orbs or anything else he shouldn't be going near.
Yeah, I mean, touch is kind of an odd concept for Paul, seeing as he phases through nearly everything.
He's got knives in his hand. I'm being careful.
Yeah, you'd say they're probably more held with like a mage hand effect rather than anything else, because he puts the one knife down and his hand goes straight through it when he moves across. So touch is an odd concept for Paul, but he's right then you've got to cut here and you fillet here and you slice through this muscle, and he's just giving a bit of a walkthrough on how to butcher a bird. Yeah, and by the time you come back, Ogvar, obviously you see Paul's basket, and he's got, you say, a good couple of kilos of meat here. Decent looking meat as well, really, really nice meat. And yeah, you can, what are you doing with the bag? You just kind of, like when you pick up a dog shite and just
turn it inside out and pick it up.
I think Ogvar would just like rest it on top of one of the orbs, see if it like crackled through it.
I mean, you can hear it crackling, but it doesn't appear to be crackling through the bag. You can't see any sparks coming out of it. You can't see any scorch marks, but you can still hear it crackling.
Okay, yeah. So Ogvar will just sort of do a dog turd retrieval.
Okay, you poop scoop the orbs and you hold the sack with 2 balls in.
But also the orbs, right?
What was that, sorry?
But also the orbs, right?
Is one slightly bigger than the other?
If you want it to be, yes.
How long are you going to spend inspecting
Low-hanging.
them?
low-hanging fruit. Yeah, great.
Oh dear, Sam.
Oh dear. Yeah. Yeah. You've got this bag with the 2 orbs in. Yeah. There is no way I can now continue this thread of thought without everybody losing it. So, you have them. What are you doing with them?
Keep them somewhere safe. Just angle them from your belt.
Dear Lord.
Just don't run with them. Not in your hand, anyway. It works.
That's it.
I'll get rid of it. I'll get rid of
Ryan's
it.
gone.
I'll get rid of
Ryan's had it.
I know you say get there in a minute, but that's not what you want us to be saying when you've got a bag of books in your hand.
Oh, right.
And breathe.
I would say the show must go on, but apparently not at the moment. It's gone a very strange colour.
Yeah, sorry. Oh yes, I'll be very careful with them. I'll take them back to the ship. Maybe Elora would like this.
He's gone. He's gone.
See, this is where we need Craig. This is where we need to remember these moments.
He's got a very funny colour.
Well, yeah, he was playing with his
He
auto
has.
ago.
Okay, get yourself together. So yeah, that happened. We have to continue this conversation for a while now, won't we?
Okay, so for
Fade to
Ryan's
black.
health, because he's going a very, very strange colour, you've collected all of the resources you can from this beast. You weren't able to identify it, I don't believe. Unless... Did you make checks to see whether you could identify it? I don't remember.
Yeah, I did get quite a high nature check on it at one point, over 30, but I don't think we actually heard what it was, so I'm guessing it was a very rare beast.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, yeah. So you haven't been able to identify it, but you've been through, you've collected feathers for down, you've collected these magical orbs from its chest, and you've also collected, or Paul's collected some meat. And you are able to obviously collect all this and spend some time doing this, poking around, looking at this creature. Otto, I imagine you'd spend a bit of time studying it to try and see if you can study it enough to replicate its form at a later date, I would say. Because your ability is based on how well you recognise these things as well, or how well you know these creatures. So,
I would like to grab a couple of the bigger feathers as well.
yeah, you can
you
take
never
some
know.
of the. Yeah, you can take some of the primaries. They're very long. I mean, you take one and it's about the length of your arm. The feather from kind of armpit to fingertip, middle fingertip. The feather is like the length of your arm. So while you're doing all this and bagging up the balls, Elora and Esther, what did you go off to do?
Elora will make her way over to the Seagraph, the coastal graveyard.
Yep.
And as she walks into the graveyard, she stops and takes a scan around. And Esther,
Yes, dearie.
humour me. Can you take one side of the graveyard and start wandering around, and I'll take the other? And can you see if you can see a grave marker with Paul Whistlemeyer on it?
Oh,
Yes,
dearie.
kind of. Let's see if he's here. I mean, he could be in one of the mass graves, but he might have his own. Let's just see if he's here.
Well, I think he might be
And
back on the
Elora
ship,
will-
dear, but yes, we can take a look.
Yeah. Laura will take the right-hand side, and she'll start wandering in amongst the grave markers to see if she can see a marker with Paul Whistlemeyer on it.
Yeah, you take the right-hand side, Esther takes the left, and you both start spending some time wandering in between the markers. They're not set out in rows. The markers themselves are sometimes half fallen over, they've collapsed, they've subsided slightly, sometimes they've broken in half, sometimes the letters are really, really worn on them. But you take a wander, both of you, and you are unable to find a specific grave with Paul's name. You do come across the couple of big mass graves which are further towards the coast end, which are marked with a simple wooden symbol of Avacyn, which has been corroded. It is made of wood, and obviously it's between the weather, the elements, the salty air, you can see that it's corroded badly. It's not looking in great shape, and it's almost worn down to just a simple U shape instead of the collar symbol that you're so familiar with. And there are a couple of these spots which are marked with similar symbols. There's probably about 4 or 5 of them, and they just have rough dates on them. They don't have specific names. So by the time you kind of meet up at this point, neither of you have been able to find Paul's grave, and it's very easy to assume that he's probably passed away or kind of died in the height of this epidemic, and he has been tossed in with obviously other bodies who've met their end as well.
Elora's going to just kick the ground a little bit and turn to face Esther.
Yeah, you kick a bit of zombie viscera which has escaped the piranhas.
Alright, lovely. You see, I wondered whether the right thing to do would be to explain. I mean, Paul seems happy the way he is, and it's obvious that he's oblivious to the fact that he's actually, well, stuck between here and the afterlife, if you like. I just wondered if the right thing to do would be to explain to him, and I thought maybe if we could find a marker, if there was a marker for him individually, that we could perhaps bring him here and explain it. I don't know. What do you think, Esther? Do you think it's the right thing to do to explain it to him and then try and sell him the benefits of his new life? I mean, he's not going to die again. He's not going to get disease again. There's a lot to be said for it, really.
I'm not sure, dearie. It's quite unusual. I suppose it's not unusual, but most people enter back into the cycle and they are milled out again and reborn at some point. They go to Avacyn's bosom and they are redelivered back into a new life. Obviously, Paul's escaped that. I'm not quite sure how, but he does strike me as quite the persistent poltergeist. I mean, we could try explaining it to him, but I'm not sure he'll really listen.
Well, no, but do you think it's a good idea to even do that, or should we just... He seems happy. Do you think just leave him the way he is? Well, he seems really quite a nice guy. I bet he was really nice, especially when he was alive, and he obviously... I don't know anything about his past. I can ask him, you know, what he did in his early life. Do you think we should just leave him and just leave him in blissful ignorance?
Well, I mean, it strikes me, dearie, that you could explain it to him and he probably just wouldn't listen or wouldn't care. I mean, if you wish to do so, but I'm quite content with the free labour, to be honest, dearie.
Yeah, okay, Esther, it was just... Perhaps I'm just being over-sentimental. There's been a lot happen lately, and I guess I'm just calling life into question a little bit, and yeah, perhaps I should just leave well enough alone. He seems happy.
That's the
If one
spirit.
can be happy in life, well, that's everything, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the spirit, dearie.
Okay. Let's go. It was just a large area to search on my own, and I just thought it might be quicker with two. Ready to go back to the ship?
Always, dearie, always. And you head back to the ship. By the time you reach the ship, I imagine that Otto, Ogvar and Paul would have returned to deck with their spoils. You can see the carcass of this creature has now been very obviously cut open, and the seagulls are beginning to swarm over the corpse and are starting to basically pick it clean and rifle through its innards. Returning to the ship, what is your plan? So it's obviously still very early morning. Are you hanging around a bit longer? Are you travelling back? What was it you wanted to do?
Well, I think arriving back at the ship, Elora would obviously have realised that to get off the ship she would have cast Featherfall on herself and her companions to get down, because the previous night they'd left the infinite ladder attached to the ship via the rope of stone, and that would have returned to its normal size. So
you could reactivate it in the morning. You could have done either. Either way, you'll be able to get back up onto the ship. No worries.
Okay, all right. In that case, I will assume that I would have reactivated it so everybody can get up and down from the ship.
Would you have made it a bit longer?
No, she wouldn't have made it. No, she would have made it
You're on a
exactly
roll
the same
tonight.
length. Yep, she'd have made it exactly the same length because it was hanging off the rope of stone. So if she'd have made it longer, it may have hit something at the bottom and snapped the ladder. So no, she'd have made it the same length.
Okay. So what is your
55
plan?
feet, I believe.
Yes. What is your plan then?
I think we had the original plan to fly back on the morning to go back to Jenric's tower after having sort of collected as much as we can, and then to have a chat with Jenric once we return about whatever he's discovered from the books that you'd given him, and to discuss a couple other things alongside that.
Yeah, and I think on the journey back, Elora would have taken. There's a whole list of stuff that she would have taken into the galley that would have been suitable for the galley, or a mess hall, which isn't currently in place because all the changes haven't been made. But I think she would have taken all the stuff that was relevant to the galley into there for Paul. So things like the dried herb pots.
You'd already done that the night
and stuff
before.
like that.
Yeah, you'd already done that.
Oh
the
yeah, I
night
had.
before.
Sorry, yeah. Okay, that's fine.
Okay. So.
Yeah.
So you are flying the ship back to Jenric's tower, yeah?
Yep.
Okay, so whoever is taking point on that, can you make me a navigation sailing check, please, or profession sailing? I can't remember which one it is now.
Oh, gotta be you. We gotta defer to the captain when it comes to flight.
Would Erik have got out of bed by now?
Oh yeah, Erik would have got out of bed. He's pottering around the ship. He's still doing bits and bobs and deciphering things.
And of course, while we're flying back, there's a couple of balls for you to keep your eyes on.
Yeah. Well, Ogvar rolled a 19 with a +2 to it for a 21.
Nice. Okay, yep. So it was a low-level DC check because, again, today, although it's not sunny and warm, the weather is fair. There's a slight breeze, but with your knowledge and experience of navigating this ship so far, you are more than able to obviously fly the ship back. You raise it out of the water. The anchor comes up, dripping water and some seaweed. I imagine you will probably take your rope of stone back. You will bring the ladder back. And you set the ship flight. It raises, because it was hovering above the water, it raises up, and you begin to navigate back over Saltstone. As you travel over, you see the dilapidated buildings, obviously pass under you as you rise up and climb the steep ascent to get back over the mainland. Once you're over the mainland, it will take you the morning up until lunchtime to travel back to Genrix. If you're travelling at a steady pace, are you planning to keep that same steady pace, or do you want to get a bit of a clip on?
I think Ogvar would still be getting his head round things, so he'd probably just stick to what he knows.
Yeah. So you're able
Obviously,
to...
before...
Yeah.
Can I just say, touching on what Rick said, if Ogvar's going to be tied up doing the ship, then he'd pass the sack of balls to Otto.
Who would only briefly handle them due to the slight concern over them, pass them on to our expert.
Who's the expert?
Something new for you to play with.
What's this? What's in it? What's that noise? What's in here?
Well, probably better you have a look yourself. Something we found in the bird.
She eyeballs him very suspiciously, and she opens the bag. Can she clearly see what's in there?
Yeah, you can see a pair of balls. One is...
Where did you get that? Sorry.
One is glowing yellow with the other glowing white, and they are both apparently crackling with with energy. They make that kind of noise. If you get those really, really strong magnets and you kind of like bash them together and make that kind of really high-pitched kind of like noise, they're making that kind of noise as they knock together.
I'll save you some time. I did check, they are magical, but your magic's slightly different to mine, and this doesn't seem like my sort of magic. This definitely seems like your sort of magic, and well, we've had some trouble with these things recently, and sort of glance over at Ogvar's bangle, his new jewellery, not wanting to take part in any sort of new-fashioned parade or anything like that. I think I'd better let you cast your eyes over them first.
She looks from the yellow one, glowing yellow, to the one glowing orange, and
It's yellow and white, but yes.
oh, it's all right. You said yellow and orange earlier.
I said white.
I wrote down orange.
Well, I'm not sure. I said they were about the size of an orange.
I've got
so
yellow and white.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
I did say they were about the
orange.
size of an orange, so you've probably picked it up from there.
That's
But I
probably
definitely didn't say it was orange.
White. Okay, white it is then. Okay, so she looks from the one glowing yellow to the one glowing white.
Mm-hmm.
As she... Bear with me. I need to check something. Hang on. Oh, God, where is it? Right. Obviously they're magical. But she's going to do an appraisal. Can she tell what its basic properties are?
So you would say from a basic appraisal, using your racial trait, that obviously both of these are magical. You would say the yellow one appears to be crackling a bit more, and when you take a closer look at it, although they both crackle with energy, they're both clearly resemble lightning. And just looking at it takes you back to the storm on the previous night, the cracks of lightning, the way it arced across the sky, the yellow and the white flashes. Both are very, very similar to that effect. So you can very easily tell that these are relating in some way to electrical. That electricity or thunder and lightning, that kind of subset of power, should we say. Looking closely, the yellow one is more resplendent of lightning in itself, and it gives you that electrical arcing feeling. whereas the white one, although it still crackles, is more resplendent of force than anything else.
And looking at them, does her Eye of Avacyn pick up anything? Do they have any kind of aura
They
around
have
them at all?
no aura. They are magical, but they have no... So your Eye of Avacyn will only pick up on evil energies or good energies in some cases. There is no... It's just an object. It's neutral.
Okay. Okay, she's not particularly surprised by that. She's going to frown slightly at the bag they're in. She's going to go to the galley. She's going to get one of the medium-sized pots that she got with lids from the pottery place, and she's going to tip the contents of them into, or roll the contents of them into the actual jar and put the lid on, because she feels that that is a little bit more secure, bearing in mind how they're behaving.
You
She
put
turn
them
to
in a pot.
Otto. Turn to Otto and say, honestly, one feels that it's electrically based, the other feels more like it's force based. I don't know. They're not giving off any kind of evil aura. They just are some kind of, I don't know whether they're natural phenomena or what, but obviously magical, as you already know. I think this might be one for Genric. I actually don't know what they are or what they do, but I certainly wouldn't be touching them.
Well, let's
Put them in the jar for safekeeping.
Good idea. Let's not touch them then.
Yeah, no, I think not. Let's. This is sort of above my pay grade. I think we'd better ask Genric and see if he can. I don't know. Maybe they can be used to power something. If they hold energy, maybe they can be used to power something.
That's an idea. Oh well, let's keep them
Maybe
in the pot
that's
for the
what the
moment
ship.
then.
Maybe that's what the ship is powered with somehow. This kind of harnessed energy of some description. That's arcane. I don't know. We'll ask Genric.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, so you spend the morning on the trip back. It's quite peaceful. You again get surrounded by occasionally see birds, hawks, eagles, seagulls, which obviously are in the sky, flying around. They sometimes fly over the deck, they fly up by the side of you, and as you pass over these grasslands, eventually Genric's tower, which was a smudge on the horizon, gradually resolves itself into the full-size tower that it is. You pull up to the dock, which is still hanging around the 4th floor, and you bring the ship to a halt. You're able to dock it up, you can drop the anchor should you wish, and you're able to disembark into the tower. Okay, so now that you're back at Genric's, what are you all doing?
Find Genric, I suppose.
Yeah.
First port of call for Otto would be to, because it would probably be easier to fly down to the bottom and see if we can find Bojo, see if he's still down the stables, and make our way back afterwards, and then again perhaps I'll see you back at. I'll meet you in front of Genric at some point, back at the lounge or whatever, and it'll just turn into, I think, a seagull for now. There's probably plenty of the damn things around, and make his way into the bottom of the tower, so and then go find Bojo.
Yeah, okay, so you go find Bojo, Otto. Are you having a conversation with him? Are you just checking in on him? Is there anything specific you want to do?
Nothing specific, just checking in on him. Obviously, he's had these recent changes that have made him smarter than your average bear, and he wanted to just make sure that he's still okay. Make sure this isn't something that's like he's not suddenly reverted. Make sure that he's not continued to grow more intelligent. Just to see how he is really. It's his friend.
You go find Bojo. He is very clearly maintained the same level of intelligence. that he had when you last spoke to him. You probably think that with some time in teaching him more vocabulary, he'd definitely be able to learn. He'd definitely be able to almost progress in his learning. But he's able to hold a conversation with you. It's a simple conversation, but it's a conversation nonetheless. And there is obviously that very clear reasoning and logic skills that you can see that he is exhibiting. So you have a checkup on him. He's looking good. He's looking really healthy. He's still got the symbol of absinthe in faint grey, faint silver on his forehead. And he's happy. He asks you how you are and what have you been up to. And I imagine you spend some time with him just talking.
Yeah, for sure. Just a natural conversation. Again, friends checking up on friends and see if he needs anything. And if not, if he's happy where he is, then I shall rejoin the others higher in the tower once we've had that chat.
Yeah, he seems happy. He seems, you'd say, probably a little bored because he hasn't really got a lot to do. But he's happy enough to kind of stay where he is for now.
Okay.
So you rejoin everyone upstairs. I imagine this time period you would have found Jenrick. He would have been in the library. And you've managed to drag him away from his work, and you've brought him back upstairs to the 7th floor of the tower, where Esther has promptly got a teapot on the go and has started to obviously make a bit of a lunch. And it's not too long in this kind of interim period where you're having those catch-up conversations, what have you been doing, that Paul appears in the tower. And he appears, he floats up the stairs, with a large tray balanced, and on said tray you can see a meal. He's cooked you lunch. He's clearly been cooking lunch as you've been flying across, and he's just finished cooking for you. And you can see a steaming platter of roast chicken fillets made with herbs and some kind of sauce that he's found, and yeah, it's a nice looking chicken dish, perfect for some bread, which Esther can promptly find in the kitchen, and bring out some bread, and you can have some really nice hot chicken sandwiches for lunch.
I did leave him some bread in the kitchen, in the galley.
Yes, so he would have used that. And when I say chicken, I don't mean chicken, I mean this bird that he's butchered, which
Wonderful.
resembles chicken.
Well, thank you very much, Paul. It's very, very good of you to bring us here. I don't believe you've met Jenrick yet.
No, nice to meet you. Those stairs are hellish on the old legs, though. You could clearly
Elora
see his wispy lower body with no defined legs.
Elora looks at Jenrick, smiles and raises her eyebrows a couple of times.
Jenrick
Thank
looks
you,
at you. Are you having a spasm, dear? Do you need some salt or something? Are you having a spasm?
No, I was just looking at this nice lunch that Paul's bought. So she's going to reach forward and take some food off the tray and say, "Thank you, Paul. That's really nice of you. God, this looks really lovely. Looking forward to this."
Yep.
And then she's going to say, "Exchange is no robbery. When you've got your tray emptied, come back to me before you go."
Okay. So Paul goes around delivering you chicken sandwiches, and he seems to have catered enough for. There's a couple of spare as well, which he leaves on one of the side tables, still on the tray. You'd say it's about 3 or 4 sandwiches spare. He's clearly cooked up quite a bit of this chicken, and he comes back to you, Elora. What can I do for you, Miss Elora?
Right, just one moment. I've got some more stuff for your galley. Orland? She looks to Orland that's on the chair next to her.
Yeah, what?
Could you pass me a couple of things that you've got in there? I need 2 tear and share venison rounds. I need 10 various muffins and 10 sweet pastries, if you would. That'd be great.
Okay, yeah. So Orland brings them out, and he fires the muffins out individually. They come choking out. And yeah,
she's gonna try and juggle as they come out and kind of guide them and bat them towards the tray, so they hopefully kind of land on the tray.
Yeah.
So bits and pieces for the galley.
Okay, you hand them to Paul. Oh, these look good.
Oh, they're real good. These came from Stagwick. They've got an absolutely amazing bakery there. I've got some more where that's from, but our friend Orland here, and she taps the bag, and she said, "You've not met Orland yet." Orland looks after stuff like that. He has the ability to keep things fresh or hot or cold. He's a very special member of the team. He holds a very special place and a very special function as well, don't you, Orland?
Orland visibly puffs up with pride. But as you're saying this, Paul seems to have completely lost interest halfway through and has already started floating off back downstairs. Clearly not listening to a word you have said. But Orland,
bye, Paul.
Orland nevertheless looks very happy with your glowing assessment of him. Okay.
She's just going to rub a hand gently over the top of him and say, "Thanks, Orland, you're an absolute star."
Yeah, he's puffing up. You can hear his chainmail rattling as he's clearly kind of vibrating with pride. Okay, so are you tucking into those sandwiches?
Yeah, definitely.
They are good. Unsurprisingly, it tastes like chicken. But they are zingy. And you first of all think it might be the flavour of the sauce or the seasoning, until you realise that there is quite literally a low current of electricity running through your tongue and your mouth from eating the meat. It doesn't do you any harm, but it's a very strange effect. Okay, so you're eating your sandwiches, you're tucking in. Jenrick is there. What are you doing?
Well, other than chewing on her lips, going, oh. Does anybody else feel that?
Yes, I do believe so. And Ogvar sticks out his tongue and goes cross-eyed to look at what's going on.
Yeah, you go cross-eyed and you look at your tongue, and there's nothing visible going on. It's very clearly, as you're chewing the meat, there's just this current of electricity that is very, very low voltage running through your mouth.
Is that tickling your taste buds as well?
Yes. Let the tongue tingle, and then Ogvar puts his tongue back in his mouth.
Laura's just going to shake her head and laugh.
Excellent. Okay.
I suppose next thing to do would be Ogvar looks over to Jenrick and see. Fillings aren't a thing, are they, in Australia? Just a thought there.
No, they're not.
Okay. No gold teeth.
No.
I think the bigger concern is if you've got copper teeth, mate.
Yeah.
It'd turn your mouth into a Faraday cage.
Ogvar looks over to Jenrick and how's the research going, Jenrick?
Yes. Yes. It's going well. I've made my way through quite a bit of it. It was difficult deciphering the cipher and the bits that I can decipher, that is. Obviously, you still need Hans's part of the cipher. But going through it and taking the bits that I can find, progress is going very well. It's going smoothly now that I've been able to follow Katerina's trail of thoughts, so to speak. So yes, a few more days and it'll be done.
Excellent. Good progress then, really. It's all plain sailing.
Obviously, we really appreciate your help. It's obviously not been an easy job for you. It would have been impossible for us, but thank you for your help. It is badly needed.
No, my dear, it's my pleasure to help you with this task, to help in maybe one day understanding what has happened to Katerina. I'm glad you came to me, in all honesty.
I hate to ask too much of you. Obviously, when you've finished doing that, which is obviously probably the most important thing, there are a couple of things that I think various ones of us have got various questions that we'd like to ask you, or maybe just to ask if you could help with a couple of things, or even just some information.
Yes, of course.
But obviously, you haven't seen the boat. We've renamed it. We've called it the Elysian Shadow.
Fine name.
We thought that was more. Sorry?
It's a fine name.
Yes, we think so. We think it's most fitting. We're currently in the process of refitting it out, and actually I'm going to retire to the library, if that's okay with you, to go and just draw out the schematics of the plan. It just helps us when we're making the changes inside. We roughly know what we want to do with it. We've just got to do it, and it's going to take a little bit of time for us to do that. It could take us sort of 10, 11 days for that. So, would we be in your way if we stayed long enough to make these changes?
Of course not. You're free to use the workshop on the 4th floor. That's probably more better equipped for drawing than the library would be. But yes, you are more than welcome.
That's very kind of you. It's going to be nothing too technical for me, but it'll be probably the boys that make most of the changes. But obviously, when you're done with the deciphering, you must come and see. Erik will tell you about, if he hasn't already, about what is going on in the engineering section of that. It's incredible. I mean, I don't understand it all, but I can see that it's incredible. And we found some other very interesting items. Not least one that we found. Well, the boys found this morning 2 orbs, which I have bought them. Well, they're still on the ship. I didn't want to bring them into your tower because I don't know what they are, and we don't want to touch them. And also, Ogvar, show him your wrist.
Yes. There was a 3rd orb, which was actually the first orb we found. But it's not an orb anymore. It's sort of stuck to my arm.
Ooh, let's see it then.
Well, be careful, don't touch it, because it might jump onto you. It jumped up my arm.
I take it you stick out your arm and... Yeah. Jemrick takes your hand, he grabs your wrist and pulls it in front of him. He basically pulls you out of your seat as he does so. And he begins turning and twisting your arm, looking at this bangle that now sits tightly around your wrist. And he does some looking, and then he kind of deems it safe to touch, you assume, and he starts kind of poking it and trying to get one of his spindly fingers, little finger beneath it to try and separate it from your skin. He then starts bringing out an array of tools from the inside of his wizard's cloak, kind of these weird looking long metal tools, which you've never seen before. This isn't something that's familiar to you. They're not kind of thieves' tools. They're certainly not anything kind of masonry related or physical like that. They are very delicate, very long and spindly. And he starts tapping on the bracelet, producing clear ringing sounds as he does so. And upon 10 minutes of consideration and looking at it, he poses a couple of questions to you. He asks you, and how did this happen? What did it do? How did it react? And it was activated on touch, you say. And he asks you more. Have you had any other effects of it since you've been wearing it?
Ogvar will sort of lean in closer and lower his voice. Yes, I'm not quite sure why, but It's very, very quiet, and I'm left on my own. I can hear people, well, for want of a better word, moaning.
You dirty dog.
No, not like that. I mean, like, people in misery.
Oh, yes, that's not good. That's not good at all.
It's not all the time, but it seems to be when it's quiet.
Genric, Otto did try and remove it. I believe he tried to smash it off.
And what happened?
and-
What happened?
Well, you explain that, Otto.
I think he shall reach for one of those other electric sandwiches and chew on that as he's explaining. Long and short of it, it didn't work. As a matter of fact, our efforts seem to cause some discomfort to us, really. It hurt us more than it did Ogvar. And the bangle, as you can see, is still there. I don't think it wants to come off.
No,
and it most definitely has an evil aura. That much
yes.
I can see.
Yes. And Genric, he releases your arm, Ogvar, and he leans forward, takes another chicken sandwich off the table, takes a bite, wipes across his mouth. I would very much say that you've encountered a bit of a cursed object. I have a vast collection of cursed curios myself. I'm sure you saw them. They can be very tricky to deal with. Cursed objects can. It may take a bit further investigation, but until you can spare the time to perhaps find someone who can break the curse, or someone with magical means who can spend the time invested in examining it, I would suggest you take up humming.
Okay, I think I can master that.
Humming, you say?
Yes, on account for the moaning.
How does that help?
Can't hear you.
Drowning it out. Nothing more.
It's easier to hum as well because you don't need to know the words.
Okay, that's not exactly a technical answer. Okay. Is this maybe something that you can help Ogvar with, or not?
It would take some time and some research, but potentially yes. It might be that you end up having to consult someone of a more clerical nature for something of this kind. But until a bit further research can be done, then it's hard to say.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah, we'll have to deal with these in order of priority, I think. Yeah.
Okay, so at least we got a rough idea of what's going on.
For now, Ogvar, it seems that it's a nice piece of jewellery because it's quite pretty. It's a lovely colour.
It's the colour of misery.
Well, that depends on how you look at it.
I think he's looking at it from a miserable point of view, honestly.
Well, you could always try humming.
Speaking of, he could do with taking a shower today as well. Sorry, Genric, as Elora was saying, we found these other 2 orbs. Would you feel comfortable us bringing them in here for you to have a look? Would you feel comfortable with that, or would you rather they remained on the ship?
No, of course, bring them in. We'll take a look at them and see what they are. By the way, where did you get these chicken zinger burgers from? They're very delicious.
Big Bird.
Ogvar, Otto and Paul took a close look at the lifeless bird. Paul's particular focus was feeding his newfound friends, whilst Ogvar investigated its innards, revealing some strange curios. The ladies took their leave for the Seagraph on a heady mission to find a gravestone, but Elora returned to the ship less than enlightened. After journeying back to Genrix, club chicken sandwiches and a consultation with a wizard on the topic of Ogvar's janky jewellery was the main talk of the tower. Thank you for listening, everyone. Remember that this is the last episode of 2024, but the Secrets of the Silver City will return on the weekend of the 4th and 5th of January 2025 with episode 162. Don't forget to tune in to our winter special, The Quest for North Star, which streaming dates will be released for shortly. Keep a check on our Facebook page for the latest news. But for now, all that is left is to wish each and every one of you the merriest of Christmases and good fortune for 2025.